All right, let's talk about this Schwinn Trailway Junkyard find bike before I do any real wrenching on it. This is pretty much how I got it at the recycling center. It was just standing there on the kickstand saying, "Somebody take me home before I get crushed." And the handlebars, when I found it, were turned upside down and everything was loose and it looked a lot junkier. But now with the seat up, taller than it really should be for the intended customer, but it's one of these deals where it fits like, 5'6" to 6'7". So that's where it is for me for a 5'11" guy. It doesn't look as terrible with the bars properly aligned and the seat out like that. And it's all there. I mean, the wheels are very straight. Nothing I can't, fix with a little bit of spoke wrenching. It's just maybe a couple of millimeters out for each one. It is an aluminum frame bike. And it's got a very rusty chain, but the chain is still chaining. There's no tight links. I can just lube it up and ride it. I will take it off and soak it in Vapor Rust or something else to de-rust it at least a little bit, and do the same for the freewheel. Derailleur is going to go. You can see how those adjustment screws are all bent up and mangled, so that'll come off. Crankset is a anchor, but it spins okay. Bottom bracket needs adjustment, but it feels okay enough. Likewise, the hubs and the headset seem pretty okay. See how that top cap is faded. This is definitely a left outside bike. Suspension seat post actually works pretty good. I'll still take it apart and grease it. The forks, however, cheapest of the cheap here. Steel lowers, just spring action. There's no, oil or air to keep trapped in there, so you can just yank this apart and re-grease it, get the rust off the stanchions. But this fork right now, it collapses when you get on it and it does not spring back. It's just too much friction in those legs. It needs to be cleaned out, relubed, but we'll see how that goes. This one did get a pedal replacement at one point. It's got these goofy mongoose pedals, which are fine, but they use these extenders. It's a 1/2-inch pedal. It's a 9/16 extender to get that to fit on any bike, a universal pedal. But on this bike, they're pretty far out from the crank arms, which I don't mind, but I just don't love it. So those will get replaced with something from the bins. Let's see, cheap V-brakes, but they work. This one has been pretty well ridden. Both tires are bald, so this is probably the rear tire. They wore it out, put it on front, moved the front tire to the back, and then wore that one out. So good. I'm glad the bike actually got some use, because very often bikes get kind of bought, ridden a couple of times, hung up in the garage, which is a lot better than left outside, but when they're left outside, this is what you get. And obviously this bike is all about comfort. You've got a squishy seat and a squishy seat post and a squishy fork. So this is all comfort, comfort, comfort. I'm sure this felt great to the person who test rode it in the aisle at Target. And once I've got it lubed up and working, it should be a perfectly nice riding bike. I'll probably put some handlebars on there with a little more sweep back. It should clean up nicely. The paint is fine. It's aluminum, so it's not all rusty and everything. Yeah, so for a free bike, I'm kind of into this. And we'll see how it goes. All right, let's try the audio with headphones on. Maybe that will clean things up. Here is my Schwinn Trailway. This was my junkyard find, or still is my junkyard find. And I'm going to leave all these mistakes in because no one's going to see this video probably, since it's the first one I'm doing for my channel, which is will be called Bike Therapy, at least right now. Anyways, you should have just seen the original video that I made when I got this bike from the junkyard, the recycling center, before it was going to be crushed. And I had high hopes for it. And I do think it cleaned up nicely, but I'm calling this one a failure because I just don't like riding this bike, and I'll tell you why. But first, let's look at how the bike turned out. So these tires are Blackburn that you can get at Target or Walmart. And it's a nice tire. I'm very happy with these. Nothing bad to say about them. They're probably a little heavy. I didn't weigh them because I don't care. But I like that tread, and they roll nicely, and nothing wrong with these. The brakes are Avid single digits. These I had in my bins of parts. Just a simple, linear pull V-brake. I like them. They're fine. And they went on this bike. The original Tourney derailleur was really torn up So this is an Altus that I got off Amazon. Inexpensive derailleur, but a nice derailleur. Certainly not lightweight, but well constructed. It's got the large pulleys on it, and that gives you more chain wrap. And it's just a simple, honest derailleur that does a good job. And of course, it's indexing compatible. This is the freewheel that came on the bike. I took some white vinegar to get the rust off. Likewise, the chain is original to it, and that was all rusty when I got the bike. And I just soaked it in white vinegar. The rust came off, no problem. Looks great. And the cranks are actually lighter than I thought they would be once I got them off the bike and cleaned up, and with the plastic kind of a safety ring taken off of the big ring, they don't look that bad. That center plastic part also comes off. Maybe I can show you that popped off. And that looks a little more primitive and crude. I thought the center cap cleaned it up a little bit. So I'll put that back on there, but you can run it that way if you want to. And I'll snap that back on later. Pedals are Ozark Trail. These are like $16. Perfectly nice pedal. You got removable traction pins there. The back of the axle is broached for a 6mm, 6 or an 8. Well, anyways, it's broached for an Allen key. You don't have to use the flats on the pedal itself. The suspension seat post cleaned up nice. It's got nice smooth action. I didn't think I would like having a suspension post, but this one's actually pretty good. And you can set the preload for a big guy like myself. Perfectly fine. No issues with that. Also squishy is the Cell Royale seat I got from Walmart. Pretty inexpensive. I think this is just under $30. But it's a perfectly nice, wide comfort type saddle. Up here in the cockpit, if you will. These are 7-speed shifters I had in my bins. The stem came off a Scatante Aroma from Performance that I had got, like 20 years ago. And the handlebars are from Velo Orange. I forget which model they are. They're a little small for putting, combined shifter brake levers onto, but they do just fit. And the grips are Rock Brothers. You can get these two pairs, I should say, for $14 on Amazon last time I checked. That's where I got these. And just a perfectly nice lock-on grip. And here is the fork, and this is the problem with the bike. And the problem is the fork cleaned up great. It works as good as it can work. It probably works better than it did when new. But the problem is it's just such a cheap fork that it kind of ruins the ride of the bike. And that's why I didn't even bother hooking up the front brake, because I know I'm not going to ride this bike. I'm going to strip the parts off it and use them for other projects. And the deal with the fork is it's just got a spring in there. There's no damping of any type except for friction, which would be fine if the friction were smooth. You had a consistent action, but it doesn't. There's a plastic sleeve up here in the top of the stanchion, not stanchion. I don't know why I pronounced it that way in the first video. But there's a plastic sleeve up here that kind of guides the fork leg, or guides the torsion in the stanchion in the lowers. And the lowers look great because I painted them. They were the same blue as the bike, which I thought looked too matchy and kind of cheap. So I painted them black. It's a satin black. I think they came out great. They look great. But the way they work is just terrible. They're really crashy. They bottom out hard. They top out hard. And they just kind of, pack up and stay stuck in a spot as you're pedaling, but then they very snappily will activate again, and it's just a terrible feeling to ride the bike. It just ruins it. And the bike actually rode nicer straight from the junkyard as far as the fork's ride quality, because it was bound up. It wasn't really moving. It was like a rigid fork. And I would happily put a rigid fork on this and ride it, but a rigid fork is going to set me back like $120. And this bike looks especially tall. That doesn't look like a standard suspension correction to me, so I'm not sure a rigid fork would even work. I think it would drop the head tube too far down, and you would have, a shorter drop here, and that would screw up the geometry. Not that this is a high-performance bike. I wouldn't worry about a degree or two, but I think it would really drop it significantly enough where that steering angle would be really steep, and it would just be a crummy bike to ride. So that's the Trailway. It's going to get taken apart. I do like the way it turned out as far as cleaning up nicely and looking good, but just not a great riding bike, so I'm going to move on to something else. But those parts will live on, and we'll see what they go on to. The wheels I can use too. The frame set and fork, that will get donated. My local Trek dealer, I don't know where they go from there, but they do take them off my hands, and they say they've got an outfit they work with for bike recycling, co-op type of thing. I think it's in Dallas. But that's it for the Schwinn Trailway. These videos will get more involved, more bike farmer style. You'll see me work on the bikes. But the big thing with the YouTube channel is just to get those first 100 videos in. So that's what I'm going to try to do, is just get those knocked out, learn some things about getting my lighting set up in the garage and everything, and hopefully make some interesting content here at Bike Therapy. It's therapy for the bikes, and it's therapy for me. That's the kind of tagline I'm working on. And if I don't use that, it still is the idea of the channel. I just like working on bikes. I hope you like working on bikes too. If you don't think you can do it, believe me, you can. It's a fun hobby. I encourage everyone to give it a try. There's so many cheap bikes out there. If you watch The Bike Farmer, he says it all the time, and I agree. There's so many bikes out there just sitting on hooks in garages. They're on Facebook Marketplace. They're at your neighbor's house right now. They probably got some bikes they might even give you. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching.